Hey guys, in today's video, we're diving into a massive weather event sweeping across the United States. Bitter cold and powerful storms are on the horizon. The temperatures are plummeting and severe weather conditions are set to unleash across multiple regions. From freezing winds to heavy snowfalls, and this storm is no joke, and it's causing widespread disruptions. As temperatures drop to dangerously low levels, make sure you're taking all the necessary precautions to stay safe. We'll break down exactly where these extreme conditions will hit the hardest and what you can do to stay prepared. Whether you're facing icy roads, intense snowfall, or chilling wind chills, it's crucial to stay alert and informed. Make sure you and your loved ones are bundled up, have a backup plan in case of power outages, and always keep an eye on the latest updates. Don't let this storm catch you off guard. Tune in as we walk you through all the details so you can stay one step ahead of the chaos. It's going to be a wild ride, so let's get started. This cold air is affecting the extreme western U.S., but everyone else should brace for Arctic air on the way, especially for the central and eastern U.S. We're going to talk about that. And we'll also cover the chances of winter storms that will come with all this cold air moving down from not only Canada, but also from Siberia. It's pretty wild. First, we'll go over the latest from the Climate Prediction Center, which issued a graphic this afternoon. This is from the National Weather Service, the experts who are calling this an Arctic outbreak, so it's the real deal. We'll discuss that, then dive into model guidance to show you how cold these temperatures could get compared to average. We'll also talk about potential winter storm chances and what timeframes to watch for them. This pattern will support winter weather chances even as far south as the southern U.S., so we'll cover that too. At the very end of the video, we'll get a little technical and explain what's driving this pattern and what's causing the cold air to spill into the lower 48. Timestamps will be up throughout the video, so feel free to use them. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so and like the video if you enjoy it. If anyone has anything they'd like me to pray about, please drop it in the comments and I'll pray over it. It also gives others the opportunity to pray as well. Let's get started tonight with the latest from the Climate Prediction Center. Their 6 to 10 day outlook running from the 19th through the 23rd shows that almost the entire lower 48 will experience colder than normal temperatures. The areas shaded in purple have a 90% chance of below normal temperatures, while lighter purple indicates an 80% chance. There's a 70%, 60%, 50%, and 40% chance for below normal temperatures, with a 33% chance for near normal temps. It's almost wall-to-wall cold. The core of the coldest air is expected to settle in between the 19th and 23rd, though cold air will begin moving down into the lower 48 as early as this Friday, just a few days away. Now let's take a look at precipitation. Where the coldest air is expected, there's a higher chance it will be drier. A 40% chance of below normal precipitation is forecast in those areas, and a 33% chance of near normal precipitation exists in the grayed out area. The green zones indicate a 33% to 40% chance of above normal precipitation, which doesn't necessarily mean rain, since temperatures will be below average in the heart of winter. Next, we'll look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which covers January 21st through 27th. This period still shows almost all of the lower 48 experiencing colder than normal temperatures, with the western U.S., especially the extreme western and southwestern regions, being the only exception. The temperature outlook indicates a 70% chance of below normal temperatures, with similar precipitation patterns as the previous outlook. There's still a lean towards drier conditions in the central U.S., which means places like the Midwest and Ohio Valley might stay dry and very cold. The Climate Prediction Center issued a graphic today. The summary mentions that while some moderation in temperatures is expected in the middle of next week, the overall pattern will remain favorable for more cold air outbreaks throughout the end of January. It's looking like it will be a whole month of very cold temperatures, which is rare. Freezing precipitation is also possible where moisture interacts with the cold air. Now, let's talk about how cold the temperatures could get compared to average. It's important to know your region's average temperature for this time of year. I know it's pretty small, like FJ17, and it's also up at the top of the screen. I'll try to mention the days as we go, but I just wanted to point out that the information is there. We're starting off on Friday morning, and you can see the well above average temperatures. You might be thinking, what Arctic blast? But watch how fast this changes. By Saturday, you can already see it starting to shift. So where you see temperatures like 15 degrees or 16 degrees, these are above average highs or lows for this time of year. The blues, greens, and purples represent below average temperatures. And you can even see the negative numbers next to some of the temperatures. By the middle of the weekend, specifically Saturday, we're going to see brutally cold air spilling into the high plains and making its way down to the southern plains, affecting the central U.S. By Sunday, January 19th, the cold front is moving in. As we move into next Monday, January 20th, we're about 6.5 days away, and you can see these temperature anomalies. For example, Dallas-Fort Worth's average high might be around 50 degrees, but next Monday it could be 25 degrees below average, meaning highs could be in the 20s or 30s. By Tuesday, January 21st, temperatures begin to moderate slightly across the central U.S. This is the Euro Ensemble model, which is very reliable for long range forecasts. Typically, it doesn't overstate things, so the cold will likely peak this weekend into early next week. After that, we might see a slight moderation, but it's not clear if the cold will fully back off or if we'll see a reload of Arctic air. Now, let's talk about the eastern U.S. This is what I've been telling people locally. If you need to get yard work done across the southeast or anywhere in the eastern U.S., try to do it this weekend. The only problem is that rain will be moving across the southern tier of the country, making it tough for anyone to do yard work. But if you can, try to get it done because the cold will be unbearable for most people. On Saturday, January 18th, you'll see above average temperatures across the deep south, neutral conditions in the southeast and northeast, and then the cold front arrives. By Sunday, January 19th, it will push through the deep south, mid-south, Ohio Valley, and the Midwest, reaching the mid-Atlantic. By Monday, January 20th, it will have moved all the way through the eastern U.S., with temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below average in these areas. In the eastern U.S., the cold hasn't fully settled in yet, but by early to mid next week, temperatures will be brutally cold, anywhere from 10 to as much as 25 to 30 degrees below average. This is incredibly cold. You might be wondering now, wasn't this forecast showing the same thing a couple of weeks ago when it didn't get that cold? Yes, you're right. Could it happen again? Absolutely. I honestly think this air mass will moderate somewhat, but it could still get very cold. It has been this extreme in the past. 2021 and last year were examples. But if we just look at one operational run from the Euro, this model shows temperatures as low as the teens, even as far south as the Gulf Coast and North Florida by Tuesday, January 21st. Is there going to be another reinforcing shot of cold air? The Euro says yes. By day 10, another cold front is on the way. So we're talking about very cold temperatures and the winter storm chances are likely. Let's now look at the model guidance. People are wondering if we'll get a winter storm. I don't know the answer yet, but I am fairly confident we'll see winter weather somewhere in this pattern. It's just a matter of figuring out where. By Friday afternoon, the cold air will just be moving into the northern sections of the lower 48. You can see the 540 line, which represents the 32-degree mark in the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is a good way to look at surface precipitation without directly checking temperatures. One thing to note is that there will be a lot of energy coming down from the dip in the trough. digging down from Canada. This energy will essentially translate to snow across the high plains and Rockies. I think Denver will get some accumulating snow. At the same time, there are pieces of energy riding the boundary that will set up right in here. So here comes our first system, and it's going to bring a rainy weekend, unfortunately, for the Southeast. So if you're trying to take advantage of those warmer temperatures, well, you're probably going to get rain. You could also see a little winter weather in the Northeast, but I don't expect much from this first system. Here comes the snow riding down with this cold front, which happens a lot with these systems. People out in the central U.S. call them blue northers. And this one will be just like that, a cold front that you'll likely feel when it moves through this weekend. It'll be interesting to watch observations in this region, but as we move forward, the latest Euro model shows light snow breaking out across Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas as we get into Sunday. Now, remember, the time frames are up here. We're starting to get into Monday morning, January 20th, and I want to keep an eye on this system, a piece of energy that moves through the Ohio Valley around January 19th to 20th. It delivers a quick, moderate winter storm across the Northeast by January 20th, about a week from today. Then the cold air drops down and we're done with that system. What happens next is the time frame that interests me. You can see all the green down in the Gulf of Mexico, signaling a lot of moisture bubbling up. We've got pieces of northern stream energy diving down. Will anything emerge from the Gulf? The latest Euro model shows something trying to form around January 23rd, but it never really materializes. So from about January 20th to 26th, nothing shows up on the Euro model. But don't get bummed out just yet, and don't get overly excited either. Let me show you the GFS model, and it's likely to excite winter weather fans. Don't get overly bummed out either, though. You know that when you're watching the weather closely, a suppressed pattern in this time frame is a good thing, because 9 times out of 10, the moisture eventually pulls north. So even if the Gulf shows dry conditions now, that could change. Let's look at the GFS, starting with the 12Z model. Just like the Euro, I'm watching a couple of areas. Our first system is coming in to bring rain this weekend. Saturday evening, the rain will cover the deep south with snow across the interior northeast. There's a bit of snow riding down the Rockies too. Then the latest 18Z GFS shows a low pressure system developing, and with enough cold air moving in, we'll see snow breaking out across the mid-Atlantic, even as far south as the southern Appalachians. The potential exists for several inches of snow across southern New England, which has been deprived of snow so far this season. Once the system moves on, here comes the cold air. This is the time frame I'm watching, January 20th through 25th. Cold air starts to ooze down, and we'll see that 540 line moving southward. You want to see a zonal look here. It's a broad spatial pattern, not too far to either extreme. Will anything pop up? As we move into January 21st, the GFS shows winter weather breaking out in Texas and Louisiana. This system could bring winter weather to the deep south, including Florida's Panhandle, southern Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the Carolinas. The pattern supports something like this, but again, this is just one run. The Euro shows nothing during this time frame, but this model shows a potential winter storm along the Carolina coast, especially in the eastern Carolinas. Now, let's see if the current GFS shows anything similar. It likes the same time frame too. Here comes our first system, bringing rain for the south and a little snow for parts of the interior northeast, like Pittsburgh and Ohio. We'll also have snow riding down with the trough, which will likely be a bit more aggressive than the Euro. I think we'll see accumulating snow this weekend in Denver. Then the system will break apart. We came to the end of the video, guys. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.